So a lot of people have been asking me lately on what would I do if I had to start all over again when it comes to the world of acquisitions. And it's not a question I've been getting once, like literally probably got that question dozens of times in the last year. Like assuming I had to start all over again, would I do the same things? Would I go through the same path? And before I get started with what I would do, I think the biggest thing to understand is that there are many roads to the top of the mountain. There's not just one way to do it, right? So it's something to take into consideration. I'll share with you what I would do myself right now, but you got your own path. You got to make your own decisions in the end of the day. And also to understand that if you want to make millions, right, the question is, do you want to be a liquid millionaire? Do you want to be an asset millionaire? I think that question is very important to ask because it's a very different story. And it's also something that you need to ask people. Is it before taxes? Is it after taxes? Because like I'm seeing a lot of people showing their numbers on Shopify stores making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month or a day sometimes in revenues. But when you go into the details, you understand that they only have like 10% profit margin, and that's before taxes with additional 50% or so, depends on where they live, right? So questions that you got to ask yourself. But I want to assume that it's either cash flow that you want to produce, and let's say within a year to be a cash flow millionaire, or equity or call it capital events, right? So with cash flow, for example, we need 1 million a year or around 2 million a year, assuming you pay taxes, or if you want to live into a different jurisdiction and don't pay taxes, that's okay as well. That's what I've been doing. And the second way is capital events, right? So it's kind of like where you create an exit, or where you, let's say, broker between deals and you really get a nice chunk of money in one event. So if it's your business, let's say your business is making 250,000 a year in profits and you sell it for 4x multiples, let's say you sell it for $1 million, and that's the number, right, on 4x multiples, and that's assuming after taxes. So you probably need double than that if you pay taxes. Or like I said, just move to a better tax jurisdiction area like I did. But that's not the topic of this video. Now, when you understand, we have the context and fundamentals of how we're going to get to that million. It's either a cash flow or a capital event, owning a business, or maybe brokering a business. So let's say you broker a $10 million deal, you can make a nice percentage in there and make that number as well that way. Now, one more thing before I'm getting to the how, which is to understand that in the end of the day, you gotta make a decision on kind of like what house you want to build. Like when you want to go and build a business, or start a business, or buy a business, or broker a business, and a lot of people I see try to focus on like 8 different businesses, or try to build like 8 different houses. And what happens is you're going to end up with like 8 different houses that you didn't finish building, and it's the last thing you want to do. So whatever you decide, focus. Right, I'll share with you with my experience, and there's a lot of business models that I was part of, either buying those businesses, brokering those businesses, or starting them from scratch. And I could share with you kind of like the benefits and downside of each of those business models. Let's start with a business model that I see a lot of people talk about, which is e-commerce, and specifically dropshipping. So with dropshipping, you need to do market research, pick a product, you need to run advertising, you need to test a lot of ads, and a lot of them will not be profitable. You need to worry on website design and copywriting, and worry about ad accounts, and building a website, and changing a different product if the one isn't working, and worry about fulfillment that might not be good because the product is really not the best when it's coming from China, and the client might ask for a refund within a few days. And you have, like I said before, like a very low profit margin, and merchant accounts that getting banned, and a lot of issues that comes around that cycle of running traffic, product, someone to trust to deliver that, and of course the support and dealing with refunds. A lot of people say, hey, let me buy the inventory and do something like an FBA Amazon deal, right? Well, it's great, I think, to buy those businesses, but when you start from scratch, again, you need to find a product that's going to work. You need to buy inventory, minimum like $5,000 to $10,000, without even knowing if it's going to sell or not. You need to host on the Amazon warehouse, and then of course Amazon ship the product, so it's faster. But then most businesses in Amazon or Shopify, even if it's not drop shipping, you need to run a lot of money on ads, and again, same cycle of dealing with, and if the product is good, Amazon will come up and pretty much replace your product and do it on their own. Next one is, okay, let's buy a business. So what we've been doing in the past is, we've been running, if you don't know us, like almost $1 billion worth of deals in the last 5 years alone of transactions, of acquisitions, transactions. And we've been dealing with a lot of Amazon businesses where you go to businesses that already made it in Amazon and then you buy them. So when you buy businesses, you pick a sector, you find deals, you analyze them, you need to raise capital usually, do your due diligence, and then you can operate the business, right? The beauty with buying a business is that you don't need to come up with the ideas. You go into businesses that already have product market fit from day one, and you just go to something proven with existing cash flow, with existing equity that you build, versus trying to start from scratch with a startup that most of them unfortunately fail, or try to raise capital and get into diluted. Which lead me to the next module that I would have considered if I started today, which is becoming an acquisitions advisor, which is kind of like what we did with acquisitions.com in the last 5 years. You pretty much pick a sector, you find deals, you get an agreement with the buyer and seller, and then you introduce people. You can also potentially get a retainer. That's the beauty of being an advisor. If you build yourself credibility and a great positioning, you can take anywhere from 1 to, I've seen 50,000 a month on a retainer just to help people buy buyers and sellers. And then you introduce buyers and sellers to each other, and you can take anywhere from 1 to 10% of the deal. Usually sellers of businesses will pay you up to 5 and 10%. Buyers will give you around 1 to 2%. But again, depends on the size of the business. And back to, if I had to start again from scratch, I would probably pick one of the last two, which is buying a business and being an advisor, which is kind of like what I'm doing right now. So I'm a bit biased, but the beauty is that when you buy a business, obviously you skip a lot of years of the startup struggle. You go into businesses that are already successful. The challenge is that with people with no experience that are just getting started, a lot of them have too many limiting beliefs. So there's just more patience needed and more trust needed that you're actually going to close on a deal. And the thing is, like, if I had to start again from scratch, I would probably start as an advisor anyway, because you can get yourself to a point where you have cash flow. So like I said, you could probably get 2,000 to 20,000 or 50,000 if you're a good retainer a month, just to find buyers and sellers and learn about this business model while you're looking for many deals. And eventually, if you find a deal that you like, you can become the buyer. So you get yourself cash flow as an advisor, plus obviously some equity or capital events when you help close the deal. And then you have an opportunity to buy some of those businesses if you like them at some point. And you will learn more about business. Like, I probably learned, starting almost 15 years ago now, more about business in a few months of talking to business owners like sellers and buyers than in many years of trying to do everything on my own and testing things from scratch. Because a lot of business owners, they pretty much repeat the same 6 months again and again for years because they don't really grow. And when you are an advisor, you can talk to those big businesses from day one. So in regards to how much money you can make, I mean, look, if you're making you're helping close a $5 million deal, you can make $500,000 in a capital event, right? Or more, depends on the percentage and of course the size of the deal. Plus, if I can get cash flow in the meantime, that's great to help me with living expenses. And eventually you can even become the owner yourself. And also the beauty with being an advisor is that you can scale that as a business on its own. That's what we've been doing in acquisitions.com, right? We've been working on $1 billion worth of deals, and there's no limits to that business. I mean, if you look at companies like Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan, I mean, they're a multi-billion-dollar companies pretty much being acquisitions advisors, right? But they're just doing it at a much larger scale with the biggest businesses in the world, and many times also with IPOs. So being a business advisor isn't just about playing a matchmaker between businesses and potential buyers. It's also about understanding the, kind of like the heartbeat of the market. So you need to have a bit of a grasp of what makes a business tick, what makes it attractive to a buyer and a seller. But in the end of the day, it's about spotting an opportunity. It's about recognizing the perfect fit and connecting between people. So if you like people, it can be a perfect fit for you. You literally just need to go out there, change your conversation, hopefully have a good positioning so people take you seriously, and then just introducing people to another. I met this girl a few months ago making millions of dollars every month by connecting different people around the world, like powerful people. I'm talking in like Africa and dealing with gold and oil there. But all she's doing is connecting people. And being an acquisitions advisor is the same, and you can deal with any size type deals that you want. It's all about just building again your resume, building your deal flow, connecting the right people to each other, and making between 1 to 10% of the deal without needing to run a business, raise capital, or anything like that. So that's probably what I would have done if I had to start again from scratch. I'm a bit biased because that's kind of like what I'm doing right now anyway. I'm being an advisor, plus I'm being an entrepreneur, the buyer, the roll-up player. So that's what pretty much we're doing. We're being an advisor. For acquisitions, we then also support with syndications of deals. So we introduce capital to deals. But then on the back end, we also roll up some of those companies. So companies we introduce to each other or help buy, we then bring them together. And as an advisor as well, we're connecting them, doing a roll up towards an exit and take a percentage of the exit. So it's pretty much what I'm doing right now. I'm a bit biased, right? But it's probably what I would have done if I started from scratch again with the same skills that I have right now. If I had no network at all, it's part of what I would have done. I would try to go find buyers and sellers, introduce them to each other, take a percentage for doing that. Then if I find deals that I like, I'll probably buy them myself or try to roll up a few of them together and exit or try to IPO them in the future. So let me know in the comments below if you like that and if you have other topics or questions for me. Go create what you want. It's your life. Don't give up. I love you. Bye-bye.